Hi. Hi. Welcome to Detours, Understanding Acquired Brain Injury. Today I want to talk to you about recovery and the F word. In this case, the F word I'm talking about is fine. We all know, we've heard from people who said, oh, well, you look fine, or you're doing fine. But we all know that that's kind of, well, it is very annoying because oftentimes it's used as an excuse not to pay attention to the problems we face, not to pay attention to our disabilities, or not to give us the necessary accommodations we need by employers or those we're working with or friends and things, not to show the necessary sensitivity about the problems we're dealing with. We often struggle with dealing with trying to get people to understand about the nature of brain injury. And so really, as we are going to be talking a little bit about this is going to be a much shorter one than usual. I just want to talk about some of the other F words that we deal with. For example, F word fully, as in fully recovered. It's kind of cheating a little, but as we struggle to get better, as we struggle to heal, many of us have this goal of that we're going to be fully back to our old selves after we suffer a brain injury. And the truth is, oftentimes, that's just not possible. We can aim for a functional recovery, which is where we can do most things. We can do, with some help, we can go back to work with some help. Maybe not the same job we had before at the same high level, because maybe we're not as quick as we used to be. Maybe we're much more disorganized than we used to be. We have trouble concentrating, or our temper's a lot shorter. And so we need to be out of a social situation. I mean, there are plenty of people without brain injury who have problems in social situations or dealing with the public, but we have a particular problem with that. We may be more sensitive or may not understand as well. So with appropriate accommodations, we're functionally recovered. Socially, in relationships, we may have trouble, and this is why a lot of us find that we lose family in the process. And so we may need to redefine how we work in our relationships. And so, again, with functional recovery, good enough, but we need accommodations. We need spouses, and we need boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, to be more understanding. And maybe we need rest periods, or we need breaks, things like that. Again, but it requires that kind of working with others. And that's the difference between a full recovery and a functional recovery. We could do things. We could do a lot of things we may be used to do, but we need scaffolding, to use the term that they use in education, which is external supports provided for us. And as we relearn our skills, we can take some of those supports away. Although in our case, oftentimes we still need those supports. And so they may need to remain permanently, but it's accepting who we are. I'm going to borrow a term from the COVID pandemic, and that is the new normal for us. And coming to terms with that requires us to say, yeah, I'm not happy about this, but I can accept it. So acceptance is a big, big part of it. And so functional recovery versus full recovery, another F word. And friendship, another F word, is important because with the problems we may experience with our families, we need to seek out friends and people who understand us. And it relates to that kind of your own built family to compensate for people who understand versus don't. Now, it's not a perfect solution because, unfortunately, with brain injury, we have a lot of the social deficits, and we don't always mesh well. We'll get into squabbles and into arguments and fights over misunderstandings, because a lot of times conveying feelings and thoughts is difficult. We tend to be impulsive and easily angry and misunderstand words, things like that. And I know I do. Misunderstand someone's intent if they're missing something or they don't convey it well, which is why I really don't like texting and don't like the internet as much, even though it's necessary because of, again, COVID preventing face-to-face contact. And so when somebody writes or types something and is missing something or whatever, they may not communicate it clearly, and they may say something or react in a certain way that triggers a survivor. And so we need to keep that one in mind. And we also need to be more, another F word, forgiving of ourselves and of each other. And so it's important to say, look, maybe you need some space and some time for a while, but don't be afraid to try again with someone. Say, hey, look, we had problems communicating, or, with your spouse, your kids, your friends, whatever. Hey, let's try this again, bad communication. And to learn the lessons, got a pesky fly, to learn those lessons and to try again. It is so important. And with that, with forgiveness for both ourselves, for our mistakes, for our miscommunications, for our errors, we'll give ourselves a chance to reach a functional recovery. That is, to be able to do some of the things we did before with scaffolding and support with the help of our friends. And sometimes it's the other F word, to have to be able to say, forget it. Yeah, we've tried this, that, and the other thing, and we're just not having luck. And maybe we really can't do something we did anymore. It requires a little forgiveness, and we just say, all right, I can't do that anymore, and it's okay. And we'll just forget it. And we just have to be able to say goodbye to some things in our lives. And those are probably the most difficult things. We may not be able to draw, paint. We may not be able to even work anymore. And the ability to say forget it is really important when it comes to recovery and to healing. And so with brain injury, that is one of the hardest things, is to be able to say forget it. And so we need to learn ways, and maybe we can find something that's just as rewarding and say, okay, yeah, this makes me happy too. And in the end, with this kind of acceptance, so the ability to accept functional recovery, it'll give us freedom, freedom to grow and to become new individuals, and to accept those changes in our personality, those changes in who we are, and the ability to accept that functional recovery. It's hard. I won't lie. For 30 years, I looked for that idealized, that total recovery. And unfortunately, with moderate or with severe brain injury, that's really just not a thing. And even with mild traumatic brain injury, what some would call concussion, many people with PCS or post-concussive syndrome or post-concussive symptoms, that's just not in the cards. But finding that you can accept how things are, that is absolutely essential. And that is an F word worth using: freedom. Thank you for joining me for this Survivor's Minute. Well, more like Survivor's 8 minutes, but just want to welcome you and to the channel, and encourage you to click like and subscribe and watch some of the other videos here. And we hope you come back, and hope you have a good day. Bye.